as I'm making this video. It's late night. I did not check the time before I pressed record, so I'm sorry I can't tell you what time it is. It's late night. I'm in my hotel room. Hotel, motel. Yeah, it's a hotel. Nothing fancy. It's very basic. It's budget. I'm not even gonna bother to show you the place. Just know that there's nothing to brag about this except for the fact that it's clean-ish and it's only $28. It's like less than $30 a night. So I'm loving that. I love being where I'm located, not far from great restaurants, not far from great shopping malls and a lot of activity, but I don't feel as if I'm paying the price to be here. So I gain access without having to pay the price. This is an update on my travels. I've been to Japan, South Korea, and now Thailand. And the purpose of this journey has been to leave Los Angeles, to reconnect with old friends, former colleagues, to chase my story of 10-9 or 10 and 9, to chase it, because I want to go back to those locations where these miraculous, peculiar, strange things happen to me, and I want to bring you along with me to retell these stories so you can see or understand what I'm talking about. So those are 3 of the reasons why I'm making these videos, documenting this. But the hard fact, the hard truth that I'm facing as of this point all along the journey is the fact that change is so vast, is so real. Change. You see, the story that I'm telling, well, there are particular details that were true at one time, but due to change, due to time, and sometimes space, those details have been altered. Certainly due to time, because even when I go back to those spaces, those places where these moments happen, I discover that due to time, certainly things have changed, but also perhaps space, things have been built or constructed or torn down where things happen, I haven't encountered that yet. I'm just saying it as to illustrate the point. But let me tell you what's happened. Yeah, I was in Japan and I went to Ichiran ramen restaurant, and instead of the numbers being written in Japanese, today they're written in English, in Arabic, Hindu Arabic numbers, right? The numbers that we use, did you know they were Hindu Arabic numbers, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those numbers that we use. Yeah. So they're using those numbers. They're not using the symbols for ichi, ni, san, shi, go, roku, etc., etc. No. And that was a part of my story because, well, the fact that he seated me in row 10 or stall number 10, that was important to me. And now, but I could have still been seated in row 10 even on my trip to Japan, although it didn't happen. So the fact that it was written in Japanese, it's a moot point. Let's move on. However, I will say that I took a picture of the number 10 in Japanese with 10 and 9, and so now those numbers, the way that they were written, those signs, they've changed. That's the point I'm making. That's a different, the detail has changed. And I asked one of the servers there, one of the ushers, I said, because there's an usher there, he's a clerk, you enter the restaurant, he ushers you to your seat, and he helps you with the process. I asked him, I said, were the numbers written in Japanese before? And he said, he asked his co-workers, he did a little research, he said, yeah, things have been changed since you were here last, basically. Same thing, I was at the Apple store, I went in there. I did find an advertisement that read 10.9 on the device. I did not find that all of the devices were set to 10.9. I found that one device in one advertisement was set to 9.41. And then something I realized is that I was probably in the Apple store around 10:09 a.m. when I noticed that all of the devices were set to that hour, because there's no way that they would set the device to that time and it would stay that way forever. Only if you take a picture of the device is that time set. But, time is always moving. So I think that's really what happened. I was in the Apple store around 10:09. I saw the device and I thought it was cool to just snap a photo of, hey, there's my number on the Apple device. That's probably what happened. But I have that picture, and I might have inadvertently embellished the story by saying that all of the devices were set to that time all of the time. But that doesn't make sense. That's not how it works, Because if it's 3 o'clock, the devices are going to read 3 o'clock. Even if the advertisement, see, it's a thing that they do. They put the clock at 10:09 on an advertisement, or 9:41. These are 2 hours that you will possibly find on telephone or digital device advertisements. Look it up on Google. It's true. And then, see, all of these stories I'm telling about, the Apple store, about the ramen restaurant, this happened in Japan. And then the other thing was the ferry. The ferry number was 109, and I couldn't show you that. I couldn't prove that to you because the ferry is no longer operating. Last year, they shut it down. Like, what kind of luck am I having trying to retell this story? I'm having the worst luck. I can't tell you where. It's bizarre. Although what is really interesting is the fact that I noticed these numbers when I did, and the fact that they did change, the fact that the details about me seeing these numbers have changed, makes it even more miraculous and more peculiar that I noticed them when I did. These could have been details that just went over my head that I completely ignored, but the fact that I did notice them at that time just speaks volumes to say, hey man, something was happening. My subconscious was calling. Something. The universe was putting it out there and I was picking it up, And then I went to South Korea, and that story carried to South Korea because I wanted to tell the story about the trains, which I did. And with the trains, I boarded the train and my assignment was in row 10. I looked up and I saw 10 and 9. But this time, when I boarded the train, I looked up and I saw 9:10. I didn't see 10:9. And the only way for me to have seen 10:9 this time, see, things were different. They were changed. They were, for some reason, it was a strange set of a case. Strange. It was strange. So what happened is, the only way for me to see 10:9 was to look on the other side, where my seat, on the other side, the opposite side where my seat was assigned, where I could see 10:9 the way that I saw it at least 6 years before. No, more than 6 years, almost 10 years before. Wow. because it was the weekend of 2015, my birthday weekend, the weekend prior to my birthday in 2015, when these events happened: the Apple Store, the Ichiran restaurant, the ferry, and the Busan train KTX ride. All of those moments happened in 10 years ago. So I'm in Thailand, Bangkok now. Same thing in Thailand. 6 years ago, I woke up, I walked outside of my apartment, stood at the corner, and the numbers were on the corner, 10 and 9. I took a photo. I took 2 photos, 10 and 9. And now those numbers on the street corner, they've changed. Oh my goodness. Everything is different. All of these details are now different. They would seem to say, Larry, you're not telling us the truth. But the truth is, time has passed. Things have changed. They are no longer, these details are no longer the same. The details that I talk about, they haven't changed. They have changed, excuse me. They have changed. So now that I'm in Thailand, I must continue with my journey to, Oman, and then make my way back to the States, back home. I hope that, well, let me say this. I'm a little disappointed in the fact that things have changed, because I really wanted to just say, hey, look, here it is, just like I told you. I know I'm a little dismayed, a little, I'm dissuaded, in continuing, because things have changed. Although the fact that they have changed also means that the fact that I noticed them when I did means that something really was happening. That was a particular moment, just as I said, a very distinct, unique, interesting, intriguing moment. So going to Oman. Okay. Now I remember what I was going to say. Outside of these moments that I recall, I am still having 109 moments. And let me give you a few examples. Number one, I was in Japan. My phone wasn't ready. A car with specific license plate 10 and 9 passed by. And I said, I saw that. I literally saw that. That was Japan. South Korea. I was standing on the subway platform, completely oblivious to where I was standing in relation to the cars. And when the cars pulled up, I was standing right between car 10 and car 9. And I said, whoa, there it is. Again, I didn't have my camera ready. I wasn't prepared for that moment. Those are 2 things that happened. That was Japan, that was Korea. In Thailand, well, today I was looking toward, let's say, the east. I was looking toward the east, and I was looking at the license plates, and I said to myself, I should take my camera out and film these license plates to say, hey people, do you see license plate 109? And just let all of the cars pass, and just let it just wash over you, Because when I looked to the east, basically to the right, I couldn't find it. And I said, see, there it is. You could look at thousands of cars and not come across those 3 numbers. And that was true until I turned and looked to the west. And immediately there was a motorcycle that was pulling out of the lot. license plate number 1092. And I said, whoa, there it is right there, 1092, something like that. So, what does it mean? It means nothing, nothing at all. What I experienced, what I've discovered, what I've learned in the process is a tremendous amount. I've learned a lot of things from Hindu tradition to American 5%er tradition to Buddhist traditions to I learned the biblical reference, Romans 10:9. All of this has been a learning experience. And I think the most important thing I've learned is patience, is breathing, is compassion, and just to enjoy. Find moments to laugh and just really enjoy the time. Enjoy being alive. That's what it is. I bought this fruit off of the street. There was a woman passing by. It was a miracle. It was such a beautiful experience. I don't know how her day was going. I don't know what. And I don't know what was on her mind. Was she thinking, I hope I sell something? I hope. I don't know. And we crossed paths. And I said, you know what? I could have some. I could use some watermelon. So I looked at her stall. She stopped. She was pushing the cart, and I was walking past her, and I looked. I said, I will have some watermelon. She said, okay, here you go. And I was looking. I said, oh, I'll take some of that dragon fruit, too. I got some dragon fruit. I got that, too. I think that was a moment for her to be just like reinvigorated, I imagine. And for me, that was a perfect moment because I haven't gone into supermarkets, into the markets here in Thailand. I've bought my food on the streets, at restaurants, on the street and in the restaurants. And this was an opportunity to get fruit off of the street. And it matched up nicely. So I guess all of this story is just a matter of just being mindful and letting your sign lead you. Letting your sign lead you to new discoveries. That's what this is all about. Peace and blessings from IC 10-9. This video is out. Over.